trying to do what's right for my country. Now, that probably makes me odd in your eyes, but that's what I'm trying to do.
We didn't get into this mess overnight, and we won't get out of it overnight, but we can do it.
Ross Perot pulls the plug on his undeclared run for the White House.
And Bill Clinton offers a new covenant in his acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Hill.
And I'm Kim Singer. Ross Perot simply said no today. The Texas billionaire, who seemed poised to announce any moment as an independent candidate, dropped completely out of the race for president today, much to the shock and anger of many of his supporters. Perot says he wants to do what's best for America. Tony Clark reports.
When Ross Perot took his campaign manager's place at a scheduled news conference, it was clear the billionaire's quest for the presidency was over.
So to all the volunteers, I always look back on this with the fondest of memories, and my memories will be focused on you and your greatness because you are America.
Perot said his decision to drop out was the result of three things. The two major political parties, he said, were now discussing the issues he had raised. The Democratic Party appeared to be revitalized, and it appeared to Perot that if he stayed in the race, Congress, rather than the voters, would pick the president.
People can say anything they want to say. I am trying to do what's right for my country. Now, that probably makes me odd in your eyes, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Yet others suggest that the rough-and-tumble political world was tougher than Perot expected. As a potential presidential candidate, his motives, his business practices, and his previous political activities came under fire. He was criticized for not providing specific solutions to the problems he laid out. There was dissension in the campaign about strategy and tactics, and his address to the NAACP, a group that was not filled with volunteer supporters, fell flat. Perot said he has already spent about $10 million on the campaign, and with the effort going sour, aides conceded he decided to cut his losses.
What do you do now, Mr. Perot?
Go to work. Go to work. I got to pay the bills.
Perot's decision both saddened and surprised volunteers. The phone bank in his Dallas office lit up with calls from supporters urging Perot to stick it out.
It is a mistake, sir, and we want you to help out.
For other volunteers, Perot's withdrawal was viewed as a betrayal.
We let down the people that were really involved in the grassroots campaign, who had no other agenda, no political aspirations. First-time political people like myself who had never, ever been involved in any kind of political process.
Perot's international affairs advisor, Richard Fisher, says he was shocked by the decision because he says the process of mapping out strategy was just beginning.
My disappointment is that we will not have a first-rate, tough, impressive vehicle to put those things forward.
Perot says he doesn't plan to endorse either George Bush or Bill Clinton, nor will he tell his volunteers what to do, other than to urge them to keep on the candidates to discuss the issues. Perot says the short-lived campaign was worth it, and he wouldn't change anything. Now, he says, he'll simply go back to being a businessman. Tony Clark, CNN, Dallas.
Well, it's still unclear, though, whether Perot's name will appear on the Oregon ballot despite a successful signature drive here. More than 150,000 names were collected in Oregon. If they are submitted to the Secretary of State's office, an independent party would be formed, and that party would have to hold a nominating convention to get Perot on the November ballot. However, Perot himself would have to sign an official document pledging his commitment to serve if elected. And since Perot has withdrawn from the race, it's unlikely he would commit himself. Well, Perot is already qualified for the ballot in Washington, and the Washington State Attorney General's office is expected to issue an opinion on the matter sometime next week.
Ross Perot's decision to stay out of the race came as a complete surprise to his supporters here in the Northwest as well as all across the country today. Jim Marr has reaction now from campaign headquarters in Oregon.
It was only 2 weeks ago that Ross Perot, looking very much like a presidential candidate, thanked his Northwest volunteers at this rally in Olympia, Washington.
The only thing that matters to me is what the American people want.
Today, upon hearing the news that Perot had suddenly pulled out of the race for president, many of those same supporters were angry and disappointed.
I don't think anything's changed. He wasn't a candidate when we started, so he still isn't a candidate. He never has declared.
I was hoping to hear that maybe Perot would give support to somebody, but obviously he's not making that choice right now. My hope is that he would support Clinton.
It was a big shock.
Richard Kidd is the only paid Perot campaign staffer at the Portland headquarters. He says most campaign workers thought Perot could have won the popular vote in November. But he's satisfied the issue Perot raised are now the things the two major party candidates are talking about.
And they're that way because of all the volunteers that worked to put Mr. Perot on the ballot. Now, the challenge for everybody, volunteers, diehard Republicans and Democrats, is to make sure that their two parties do indeed stay responsive, that they do indeed listen to the American people, and that they meet the needs.
It seemed rational to just go ahead and put him on the ballot and let people vote their conscience.
Later today, Ted Thomas, the Oregon businessman who started the initiative campaign in Oregon, told supporters that he is not giving up.
My message to Mr. Perot is, if you don't want to run for president, that is your choice. But you asked us to get in the ring and stay in the ring, and we're still here. And as far as we're concerned, you're not off the hook.
How's that look? I like it.
Leftover campaign buttons and T-shirts proved to be very popular today, even with those voters who say they never intended to vote for the Texas billionaire who claims to be a populist.
I personally wasn't going to vote for him, but some of the issues that he was bringing up were needed to be dealt with.
He has let us down in that particular part of the commitment, but I think that the issues that Mr. Perot represents can still be pursued, and there are lots of ways that this organization of grassroots people can pursue those issues and put pressure on our elected representatives to do something about it.
In downtown Portland, Jim Marr, the 10 o'clock news.
Well, as we've said, today's announcement by Ross Perot has left his supporters stunned and now looking for a candidate to support. James Moore, who's political science professor at University of Portland, joins us now to discuss the implications of this turn of events. First of all, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Who does this help, Bush or Clinton?
Well, if you look at who the supporters are of Perot, it primarily helps Bush at this point. However, it may help Clinton because Clinton was the one who got the first shot at trying to get those supporters to come over to his side. Both Gore and Clinton mentioned Perot and Perot supporters specifically in the speeches tonight. They get the first crack.
Professor Moore, if I had been an avid Perot supporter, someone who had gone to the trenches for him, as so many of these people did, I would be furious. Do you think this is going to disenfranchise all these people?
I think you're exactly right. The people who support Perot tend to be people who do not come out and vote regularly. They're the people that Ronald Reagan was able to pick up and bring into the political spectrum in 1980 and keep in 1984. These people now don't have a reason to come out and vote in the fall. And they are disenfranchised. A lot of them are very, very, very bitter.
I should imagine, you mentioned to us that your mother-in-law put a campaign sticker, a bumper sticker on her car for the first time ever for Ross Perot.
Right. She was really there for Perot. She thought he was the right person. And she feels very, very betrayed at this point.
Yeah. So these people stay home then, you think?
I think that a lot of them are going to stay home. They're going to, the Republicans and Democrats are going to be fighting over a reduced pie of voters out there.
What is the danger of this making everyone more cynical than ever about the whole process?
Well, it was a cynical process from the beginning because here you had a $3+ billionaire out there, and the rap on him, and especially in the news magazines and a lot of the talk shows, was he just wants to buy the presidency. He himself said, I want to buy the presidency for the American people. Here you have what looks like a rich man who says, well, the game isn't fun anymore. I'm going to go home.
Yeah. Well, at this point in the polls now, that Bill Clinton is far ahead of George Bush. Does that make a darn bit of difference?
It does make a difference, but not as much as you would, if you were Clinton, for instance, hope that it would. Everybody remembers the 17% that Dukakis was ahead coming out of the convention in 1988. Every time there's a convention, whoever the convention is aimed at gets a push, gets a big push. The key thing for the Clinton people is whether or not they can take that lead that they know is going to shrink and hit the campaign trail now. That's what happened to Dukakis. He did not hit the campaign trail. Bush was able to do that.
Quickly, is Bush in trouble?
Bush is in deep trouble. Perot and Buchanan show us that there are a lot of people who are anti-incumbent and think that Bush has done a poor job out there.
Yeah.
This may be a question you can't answer, but I guess still remaining tonight is the question why. Why do you think he did this, Perot?
I think that he panicked when he saw the new numbers in the polls. He's dropped basically about 15, 20 points in about the last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And as we've seen with Ed Rollins and Hamilton Jordan, a lot of dissension among his professional advisors. He apparently was not able to take their advice that said, don't worry about it. Yeah. Wait until the summer goes on. Wait until the campaign gets going. He quit without enunciating a single campaign issue.
He sure did.
Yeah.
He got out clean in that respect.
He certainly did.
All right,
Professor Jim Moore
thanks.
from the University of Portland, thanks so much for joining us on this really momentous night. We'll have more on the Pro decision and its impact ahead.
And we turn to the Democrats and the big night for Bill Clinton and Al Gore in just a moment.
Well, from my perspective, he never really defined exactly who Ross Perot was and who he would be as president.
Well, that's too bad. It would have been exciting.
What'd you like about him?
That he's an iconoclast and an independent.
Subway's new sliced roast chicken breast sandwich. A sandwich fit.
Hopes the Perot supporters who are now looking for a candidate. Skip Loescher has the details in a story filed just moments ago.
This convention has given the Clinton campaign a not unexpected boost in the polls, and with Ross Perot no longer a factor, Democrats are hoping it can hang on to the lead. The lyrics fit Bill Clinton's call for a new covenant between government and the people, based on what everyone must give to make America work again.
We can do it. We can do it. We can do it.
In a personal and often emotional speech, Clinton told the convention and the country about where he came from.
I am a product of that middle class, and when I am president, you will be forgotten no more.
And he talked about where he wants the country to go.
Frankly, I'm fed up with politicians in Washington lecturing the rest of us about family values. Our families have values, but our government doesn't.
Clinton invited Ross Perot supporters to continue their fight for change as Democrats.
We have got to go beyond the brain-dead politics in Washington and give our people the kind of government they deserve, a government that works for them. George Bush, if you won't use your power to help America, step aside. I will.
For Clinton and his running mate Al Gore, this was the culmination of a 4-day effort to showcase them and the need for change.
We vow here tonight that in November, George Bush and Dan Quayle will be history. They have demeaned our democracy with the politics of distraction, denial, and despair. What time is it?
Clinton and Gore were preaching to the choir here at the Democratic Convention. The real question is, how will their message resonate among disaffected Democrats and independents over the next 3 months? At Madison Square Garden in New York, live, I'm Skip Loescher.
Oregon Congressman Ron Wyden was a member of the Oregon delegation to the Democratic National Convention. I talked with him via satellite from New York tonight, just before the close of the convention, and he said he's pleased with the outcome.
I think we come out of this convention unified, and we understand that to win in November, we are going to have to mobilize voters all across the political spectrum, and that means Democrats are going to have to work together.
Congressman, I'm really interested in your reaction and opinion to really the biggest headline of the day, Ross Perot's decision not to run.
Well, it's been an amazing political year, and today's decision really takes the cake. Now, my own sense is that the Perot supporters are not going to casually transfer their allegiance to someone else. Those are show-me voters. They're insisting on dramatic changes in our political system. They want to see us clean up the mess in health care, reform our educational system. They know the economy is in serious trouble, and unless George Bush, Bill Clinton, and their tickets demonstrate some real practical answers, the Perot voters are going to be hard to win over.
Well, Wyden says he's confident that the Clinton-Gore ticket will address the bread and butter issues that the Northwest cares about, things like health care and unemployment. He also says that the Democrats' effort to win over Perot supporters began tonight in speeches given by both Bill Clinton and Al Gore. He says that Gore pointedly asked Perot supporters to stay involved this election year. He told them they have already made a difference, and now, of course, the Democrats hope they'll get involved in the Democratic campaign.
Politics of a different sort now. Portland today began enforcing its new water conservation regulations. Violators can be fined up to $500 for penalties approved yesterday by the Portland City Council. But, as Florence Jonick reports tonight, most people were complying as the water cops hit the streets today.
Mark Greeley usually repairs meters for the Portland Water Bureau, but now he's a water watcher, one of 6 Water Bureau employees charged with cruising the streets looking for water wasters.
What I'm basically looking for is, like I say, water running down a curb somewhere or down a sidewalk or something wet maybe.
Greeley's first morning on the job takes him through Portland's West Hill. He sees no reason to write any citations.
One guy was pouring new concrete and cleaning his equipment. Is the only water usage that I've seen so far at all. Hopefully, this is exactly how it'll go day after day. It wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
He takes note of healthy green lawns. In the future, these could be red flags for people violating the ban on lawn watering.
It'll probably take 2 to 3 weeks for anybody's real nice green lawn to start turning brown. And then we're going to start looking for midnight waterers.
Portland Water Bureau spokesman Ross Walker says these water watchers today issued 10 warnings. If the same people are caught again, future violations will cost them $100, $300, and $500.
The ones that we will probably get are the ones where the neighbors turn the people in.
Seattle has had similar water penalties in effect for 2 months. They have issued only 4 $100 fines, all to businesses. In Southwest Portland, Florence Jonick, the 10 o'clock news.
Now we'll see which neighbors really like their neighbors, huh? We are still not doing as well as we should or as well as the city would like in cutting back water use. In fact, the hotter it gets, the more we're using. Water consumption yesterday reached almost 120 million gallons, and our target, remember, is just 100 million gallons a day. This means, very simply, we were almost 20 million gallons over.
Nice duds, dude.
Hey, well, there's one way to save water, and that's to be prepared for the weather. And I'm going to be prepared for tomorrow. I'm ready. Because if you think it was hot today, it's going to be hot tomorrow. You're not going to notice the difference. Another hot one coming our way. And boy, just be prepared for it. So don't drink too much water. Just got to be sparingly.
But he has seen the damage the rodents leave behind. He works on storm drain maintenance for the city of Beaverton.
You can see how it's killed the trees out behind here. This piece here has been chewed by the beaver. Even this one right here, you can see they chew it off. Looks pretty straight, but it's that's done by a beaver.
Beaver dams also cause floods and destroy property.
If he builds high enough, he may use that water line, and that becomes a problem for us again. And we can't have that pressure against that water line. Could pop it out.
Beavers are crafty, stubborn little critters. They usually work at night, and they work very fast. At one time, this dam was about 4 feet high. This is also the 4th time that beavers rebuilt this dam. Stone unplugged this dam with a diversion tube. It diverts water flow and prevents flooding. These days, controlling the dams has become a headache for public works crews. The beaver population is on the rise.
2 years ago, I knew of about 5 dams. Now I've got about 20 that I know of. And I've seen a lot in the last year. A lot more dams have been built in the last year. I'd say a good 10.
But Stone is philosophical about the beaver. He respects the animal and says they help rid creeks of debris.
They're a very smart animal, and we can't seem to outwit them. They've got us. We've tried different ways to work around them, and they seem to figure out a way to get back at us.
For now, it looks like the beaver is winning the battle against nature. In Beaverton, Rosie Fiallo, the 10 o'clock news.
Well, let's go to Mike O'Brien now for a sport of another kind, huh?
Which one you want to start with?
How about golf?
How about that
Golf,
one?
good choice. Yeah, they made it look real easy out there at the British Open.
Measured at individual meters. It's that serious. I'm Rick Myers.
If you would like to respond to this editorial, write feedback, KATU, Post Office Box 2, Portland, Oregon, 97207.